Hey y'all, I'm Kim, host of Book Marketing Mania, and I'm so thrilled you're tuning in to learn how to build your audience and reach new readers as a podcast host and guest. As we get ready to turn the page on a new year, you may be facing the transition of your child graduating from high school this spring. I remember the pride and joy of that time for my boys, but I also remember it being a really hard year for me as a mom. So when I connected with Karen Jolly in Jenna Kutcher's Gold Digger podcast Facebook group, I knew I wanted to have Karen on as a guest on the show. Karen is the author of The Journey of Love and Letting Go, Navigating Your Child's Senior Year with Grace. And we talk about her path to writing her book and encouragement for you if your child's senior year isn't going exactly as you planned. Plus, Karen shares self-publishing tips, especially for those of you in the empty nest season, and also what's working well for her to market her book. You're in for a treat today with Karen, so let's get to it. Okay, welcome, Karen. I'm so excited you're here on Book Marketing Mania to serve my listeners today.
Thank you. Hi, Kim. Nice to be here.
This is so fun. So I'm so glad we connected, Karen, and I couldn't wait for you to come on and talk about your book, The Journey of Love and Letting Go. So tell our listeners a little bit about it and who your target reader is.
Sure. So I wrote this book, The Journey of Love and Letting Go, really as therapy for myself. I find such therapy in writing, and I really didn't find that until recently. But I wrote this book because the first time I was a mom of a senior in high school, I felt like I was going completely insane. I thought I needed to be admitted. My emotions were everywhere. I was very excited for her one day or even 1 minute, and the next minute, just extremely sad that, where's the time gone? And so what I realized when talking to other moms is that is very normal. Those emotions are very normal, and it's okay. And what I found is that when I talked to other moms, they had been through the same thing, but almost like right after childbirth, no one tells you what to expect. I kind of feel like this is a moment in time where nobody tells you what to expect. So I just really wanted to come alongside moms and say, hey, girl, you're going to get through this. You're going to thrive. Everything's going to be okay. It's natural and it's normal. So that's kind of where it comes from.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah. I love that so much. And I wish I'd had it when my boys were entering their senior year for different reasons for each of them. But I would love to hear, Karen, what encouragement would you share with moms that, their kiddos are entering their senior years and maybe things aren't going quite the way they thought they would, whether it's, what their future plans are or, maybe have the prodigal child and maybe, like me, I have a special needs child. So my senior year was very different than my other child's senior year. But what encouragement would you have to share with moms that are kind of struggling with that aspect of it?
Yes. Well, every journey is very, very different. No matter if your children are raised in the exact same home, the exact same parents, their aspirations are different. And I found that going through this season with two different children, so my oldest graduated in 21, my middle child graduated this past Thursday. What I find is that the best thing that you can do is just let go of your own expectations. We want what's best for our children, but obviously they're going to do whatever they're going to do. So you can encourage them, but if we just put our own expectations on the back burner and let them live the way that God has designed or planned for them, if they're following that path. And if they're not, we really have to stay on our knees. I feel like it's a time in their life where we've been given the opportunity by God to raise our children and do the best we can because He blessed us with them. But then at some point, I actually feel like we have to kind of turn them back over to God and say, hey, we've done everything we can do. And I'm trying not to get teary when I talk about this, but we've done everything we can do. And now it's time for you to take the lead and just pray. I know my mother-in-law has encouraged me a lot. She raised 4 amazing kids. My husband had kind of taken a walk on the wild side and wasn't doing things that they would have preferred when he was in high school. But he came back and he is, a very godly man. And her encouragement to me is stay on your knees. That's all you can do at this point. So really it's letting go of our own expectations and praying. That's, the biggest two things that I can say would help.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think that's we just need that reminder constantly, right? And I love hearing from other parents that have been there, done that will share that. I love how you just said that. Like, I'm going to remember that now. It took a walk. He took a walk on the wild side. Like, yes. I think, okay, I think I have one of those. And so, yeah, just to remember that they do come back. They may not, but usually everybody has their journeys, like you say, and they're all different. And some of us just take a couple of different turns that we weren't expecting, and we all, hopefully get back on the right path, or the path that God wants us on, I guess I should say. So let's talk about, and I was thinking too, like, looking back on it, I wish I wouldn't have gotten so worked up about the senior year, because you don't ever get to repeat that. Like, I think about my own senior year. It was so fun, and crazy too, but you never get that year back, and so there was so many times that I look back and go, oh, I wish I had a do-over, because I might do it differently, but we don't. So we just, we have to move on and know that we're doing the right thing. So I know a lot of our listeners, Karen, are Christian women that are writing blogs and, podcasting, and they're either have a dream of writing a book, or, they're actively, seeking publishers for a book they've written. And maybe they're thinking self-publishing is the correct route to go, which I believe that's how you published your book. Is that right?
Yep.
What encouragement would you have for moms that are thinking about, taking on that self-publishing journey, especially if they are like what getting kids out of school and you're getting closer to the empty nest season? Like, what tips would you share for them to be able to, whether it's make time or, be confident that they can self-publish a book and they don't have to go the traditional publishing route?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So just from my own personal experience is I wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote just because it was so helpful to me. And then I thought, you know what, if it's helpful to me, then I feel like it can be helpful to others. And that's where you need to, I would encourage your listeners, just do it. Take the first step. And I didn't take a class. I mean, if there's a class on KDP publishing, which is what I did through Amazon, take it by all means. But what I did was I opened up the website and I said, let's see what happens when I do this. Let's see what happens if I push this button. And I learned it. And I thought, you know what? Nothing that I'm doing right now is going to harm anyone or me. I'm just going through each little step. And if number one said, upload your manuscript here, then I did upload my manuscript there. And then, it said, here are the dimensions for what the book cover needs to be. So I followed their step-by-step guideline, and I wasn't scared to just do it, because once you get it all uploaded into the system, you can hit preview and look through the whole thing. And you're like, wow, I did that. And it's very rewarding when you just see it on the screen. You're like, wow, this could actually happen. And they make it very easy. So I would say, don't be scared. Just start. Just open the website, look and see what it has to offer. I'm sure there's tutorials. I probably looked at several. My husband happens to be a graphic designer, which is very convenient. So he helped me with the dimensions and why things weren't, lining up properly. So he helped me with that. But my biggest tip is just go for it. Someone needs to hear what you have in your heart that you are writing about. So just do it. Don't hold yourself back.
Yeah, that's so great. Did you, when you were looking at publishing, but did you look at any traditional publishers or consider that route at all?
I looked one time. Okay, I was very intimidated by that just because I had never written before in this volume, this type of situation. So I had a friend who has a sister-in-law who owns a publishing company. So that's where I felt safe. And I was like, what can Vicki tell me about publishing? So I looked into her publishing. In-game press. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but that's what she owns. And so her traditional publishing avenue was closed right now. She does have a hybrid, and that I was not aware of. There's a hybrid plan where they can say, hey, we'll put your book together for you. There's a cost involved, and then they'll give you that cost and the agreement, and you can work with them on that. For my first book, I chose to just go the route that didn't cost me anything up front, but that was certainly an option. And they will help with marketing. They will help with things like that. So that was really tempting, and I almost went that route. So, and that was something I wasn't really aware of before I started writing. So that was certainly an option.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't go to any other publishers for this book. So I am already in the process of another book, which is going to take a very long time. It's a lot longer of a story to tell. So that's going to take longer. And maybe I will look at that and try to research that a little bit more this next time.
Yeah, I love that there are so many options out there. And like you say, you don't even maybe know about them all. Like we need to really be better about sharing that there are, maybe it's not just a traditional or self-publishing route, but there's different ways to get it done with a hybrid approach. Or, but I know, so many authors that I talk to, or I should say writers, if they haven't, published their book yet, Karen, but they're so hesitant on, like they kind of, I guess, have their mindset on it has to be a traditionally published book. And so they sit on it and they're like posing, and then they hear build your platform and do all these things and come back. And then they just sit and sit and sit and sit. And what would you say other than just do it? What encouragement would you share with our listeners to not wait on that? Like if you really feel like God's, called you to write this book, how can you kind of encourage them to go ahead and, start pursuing that self-publishing route? Because, like you're working on the next book, like there's always, seems like there's always another book in them, there's always another book that another story to be told. And so, the sooner you can get one out the door, you can start working on the next one. But what would you say to people that are maybe a little hesitant about that?
Yeah, I would ask yourself what's holding you back. Is it fear? I know there was certainly fear on my side, fear that I would get bad reviews, fear that it wasn't deep enough, fear that, it wasn't long enough, or and that someone wasn't. I think with a traditional publisher, if they pick you up, then that gives you confidence. But what you really need is just to have confidence in yourself. It's really a talking yourself through this and saying, no, there's that little whisper that comes in that says, who are you? Who wants to hear what you have to say? You really have to just get those negative thoughts out of your head, because that is not from God. And so when he has called you to write something or tell someone, who needs to hear it is going to hear it. So just remind yourself that any negative thoughts that come in your mind about that, because this isn't something I, thought I would share, but there was those negative thoughts before. When I was writing, I would almost want to quit in the middle of it and say, there was just this recurring thought that was like, it was, you stupid girl, who wants to know about that? And it was not until I said, shut up. That is not good thoughts. That is not going to enter my brain anymore. And I'm doing it and I'm pushing through no matter what. So it's getting rid of that self-doubt and surround yourself with people who are cheering you on. If you have a group of women like this podcast, if you have a group of women that you can listen to, or your best friends, your family, get them around you and say, hey guys, I really need you to cheer me on through this, because I'm not always able to make that next step myself. And so I had that. So I really encourage you, whether it's a group on social media that you become part of, where you cheer each other on, or, your church group, maybe a community group, whatever it is, have some people around you that will help you take that next step and maybe hold you accountable.
Yeah, that's so important to have people around you that can just take your hand and lead you along the way, and that you can do the same for others and just be your cheerleader and pep you up when things get down, because it can be a really lonely world out there, right? To sit and write behind your computer and things. So Karen, tell us about your book. What is working well for you right now to market it to new readers?
So really what I've been doing is mostly social media. And that's what I do for a living is I write social media for local businesses in town. And we have a strategy, and I'll give you a little secret to what our strategy is. It's a 90-day strategy. And what I encourage you to do is, for the first 30 days, you tell people why you wrote the book. Why is it important to you? Why do they need to know? Why? Tell them why. And then the second 30 days, I like to tell people what to do next. So you tell them that's your call to action. So really, I would encourage you not to say, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, because people don't want to be sold. They don't want to
Right.
be, they don't want to be sold things. So you tell them why they need this, why you're coming alongside them, why they would enjoy it. And then you give them a call to action. You like, hey, buy this book. So you do that for 30 days. And then for the last 30 days, you celebrate and honor. So you celebrate
Mm-hmm.
people who have enjoyed your book. You celebrate your book reviews. You celebrate whatever it is, but just be present and be yourself and show up. You got to show up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's such great advice. Yeah, that's wonderful. 90-day plan right there. That
Yep.
just do
There you
that.
go.
And you've got
Yeah.
your social media
Yeah.
marketing plan together. That's so helpful.
So
Now,
one more thing I
yeah,
will
go ahead.
say, I just remembered I really love to speak about the subject of parenting teens. And
Yeah.
so I have found one of the churches has a moms group. So I am joining the moms group, and they've asked me to speak in August. So of course I'll take my books
Mm-hmm.
and we'll be speaking. So really try to align yourself with some speaking engagements where people are going to be already there who want to know what you have to offer.
Oh, yeah, that's so good. I keep hearing about, speaking, yeah, is like such a great way to sell
Hmm.
books because after you're done speaking, they want to take a piece of you home with them. And so they want to
Yeah.
get the book and or be able to share with a friend, maybe if they
Yep.
have a friend that has a child in the same season of life. Well,
Hmm.
so as you market your book, Karen, do you have any thoughts on like do you look back and think I wish I would have done XYZ sooner? Because I know a lot of authors will wait until they have the book in hand before
Hmm.
they start quote unquote marketing it.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer that it starts way earlier than that. But I think just that marketing word, we just think, oh, that
Hmm.
happens after the book. So I don't worry
Right.
about that until after the book. So what do you
Yeah.
have to say for our listeners about that?
Yes, I would say research a book launch team
Mm-hmm.
because I put together a few people that I knew that were safe and I made them my book launch team and I really didn't do anything with them. So I would say follow someone who is doing a great book launch.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe get in on a book launch team for someone who's a well-known author and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of see what they do so you can plan ahead of time because I
Mm-hmm.
definitely wish that I would have made that more structured and had a plan long before the book came about. Because it was like 2 weeks and I was like, oh yeah, now my book's in hand. And so
Oh
we didn't really have
yeah.
a whole lot of time to prepare and get people excited. So, and then, get people from all over so they can, share it with their friends too, that you don't know. So getting out of your circle, I think that's a great way to do it. And I
Mm-hmm.
certainly wish I would have done that better and sooner.
Yeah, that's what I hear a lot because you want to start telling people about it. And then it's like, well, who do I tell? Because you only have
Right.
so many people you can tell. So you have to
Right.
rely on other people. But I just love how authors nowadays will start getting us more excited about the book before
Mhm.
they even have the book. It's just
Right.
like you, the topic you
Right.
can talk about. I mean, my gosh, there's always somebody out there where their
Yes.
children, are entering that senior year, or
Mhm.
even I think about like, even if they have younger children, like for moms that they're thinking that way though. They're thinking, what can I do now, to
Right.
have a great senior launch here. So yeah, there's so much to talk about. Well, have you done any other podcast guesting to promote the book?
I have done one. I have
Uh-huh.
one of my dear friends she was a new podcaster. She's been at it about 6 months now.
Uh-huh.
She has a great following already, and it's about time management. So
Oh
I was on
yeah.
her podcast talking about how to manage the schedule of the senior year. So
Wow.
yes, I did one other, and I think I have possibly one more scheduled. And off the
Uh-huh.
top of my head, I can't remember what the name of it is,
Yeah.
but I found that podcaster online on Facebook. So,
Uh-huh.
yep.
Good. That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love hearing authors on podcasts, and I've definitely discovered lots of books that way.
Yes,
What about have you ever considered hosting your own podcast?
I have actually before I wrote a book that was the idea. So I
Uh-huh.
feel okay, so we go to this conference every year with our young adults at our church called
Uh-huh.
Passion, and it's put on by Passion City Church in Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
And it's a wonderful, wonderful experience. And so I was there one year, it was several years ago, and God's like telling me, you've got something to say. You've got something to say. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to start a podcast. And
Yeah.
so, I have all these things that I would want to talk about. I did a little research and then I was like, I never could just pull the trigger.
Mhm.
So I didn't. And then I read the book instead. And I was like, oh, well, maybe this is what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
So yes, it is on my list of possibilities, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, good. Well, stay tuned for to hear you on your own podcast or on other people's
Yeah.
podcasts for sure. Oh gosh. Well, this has been so good, Karen. Is there anything else you would share with our listeners who are, thinking about writing a book or they're pondering, what is the best marketing avenue to get the book in front of more readers?
just take the first step. I just can't say that enough.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hesitate. If you have been given something to say, then get it out there as soon as possible, whatever avenue that may be. Just write to your heart's content and then take the next step. Don't be scared. Mm-hmm. There are people like him who are here to support and get the word out, and just don't be shy. You are worth it. You are worth getting your story out there. So let's do it.
Yeah, I love that so much. Oh, good. Well, I will be sure to put links to Karen, to your book and your website and all the things, your socials and things in the show notes for you. And I just appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Kim. It was so nice of you to have me. I appreciate you having me on, and I look forward to hearing all the podcasts you have to offer.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, goodness. I hope your heart was encouraged as much as mine was from what Karen shared. If you're also facing an empty nest season and considering writing a book, be sure to check out episode 98 with my sweet friend Ruthie Gray as we talk about fulfilling your book dream as an empty nester. And I'll be sure to put the link in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in today, and as always, I'll be there for you to help you build your audience and reach new readers one podcast at a time. See you then.